You feel this nervousness on the phone there?
Sir, I've been trying to make an urgent phone call up there.
Well, I don't think it's something I want to do on an overseas phone.
You gotta make some phone calls. Hang up the phone. Prank caller. Prank caller.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Packernet After Dark. This is the call-in show with the Packernet Podcast Network. If you'd like to call in, if you'd like to participate in the show, please feel free to do so. The phone number here is 608-501-0718. New callers go directly to the front of the line. We don't have any new callers today, but we got a man that for some reason we called Deflator. I don't remember the backstory, but, you know, things get weird on the show when I don't know your name.
Hey, Ryan, how's it going? Yeah, I haven't called in a long time. It's Richard from Maine, now living in California.
What's up?
I stopped listening to Packers After Dark because, to me, it became Packers, or Crybabies After Dark, actually.
Sure.
But, and now I hear these people whining that we didn't do enough against the Saints. But if you think about it, we were playing with our food. Look at how many unscouted looks we threw at them. And now the rest of the league has to look at that and say, oh, they did this. We got to watch out for that. It was never close. It was never even close. And I, you know, you may disagree, and I'm sure a lot of people disagree, but this was a game for the ages. I mean, this team just showed what it was made of, and there's more to come. And that's all I have to say. Thanks. Bye.
Yeah, I agree. And again, I mean, it's similar to the butterfly effect, but not exactly. You know, the thing that always annoys me is, well, if they would have kicked that field goal in the first quarter, then we would have gotten 3 more points and then we would have won the game. Well, not necessarily. I mean, if you just go back and change that one thing and have the ability to do that, then sure. But the problem is when you change that, everything else changes after that. Similarly, you know, how would the game have been called if the game was closer, right? If our defense had allowed them to score, let's say every single down, would we have stalled out at any point? Would we have punted ever? I mean, just silly to say, like, well, maybe we would have never punted, but that's really the standard we're looking at. We only punted 2 times, so I guess we have to call that stalling for the sake of argument here. But yeah, there is a question of how much do you, when you're up by this much, you know, number one, unlike the Lions, who I think are being stupid, they're being overly aggressive in a way that is not intelligent. You know the Packers are not going to want to put anything good on tape, right? But you could also go to another extent, as you did, I believe, if I'm understanding you correctly, of just completely throwing random crap out there. We don't want to do what we would normally do. Think about it from this standpoint, and again, maybe this is not what the teams are doing. It's my understanding that a lot of these teams, they have some lower-level people that will work with the coaching staffs and gather a lot of data, tendencies, et cetera, et cetera. If you're the Packers and you're up by that much, would it not make sense to do things that kind of go against what you would normally do so that when they learn your tendencies, they're going in the wrong direction? And even if they're smart enough to recognize that that's what you're doing, the only recourse they have is to throw it out. And so now they look at it and go, I don't know, I don't have much. You're kind of, I mean, as you said, playing with your food, that there's just sort of a sense of whatever. You know, we have a lot of freedom here. We can be more aggressive. We can do things we wouldn't normally do, whether that's for the sake of gamesmanship or for the sake of, I don't know, man, I've been wondering about this and if this will work, and if so, why or why not or whatever. Why not just try some stupid stuff, see what happens? The point is, once you go up by that amount, you can't assume that this is exactly who the Packers are and always will be and everything else. They're making decisions based on the current situation, which is a very, very unique situation. And it's really hard to know exactly what would have happened and what decisions would have been made if the game were a little bit different. But the game wasn't different. The game was the result, and the result was fantastic. And to go back and nitpick certain decisions that were made when we were up by 30 is a little silly, because I don't know that that's going to happen again this year. Maybe in the Bears game, but probably not. So let's just leave it alone. Let's just be happy with what we got. So good to hear from you. Richard from Maine, now in California. Good to hear from you, a.k.a. Deflator.
Good morning, Ryan. Christmas Day. Hope you and your family are having a good one. Hope all the Packer fans out there are. This is Wayne from Illinois.
Hey.
Couple of things. I was listening to one of your recent podcasts, when you have a little bit of downtime, you kind of lose track of when it was, but one of your more recent ones after the game, you were mentioning how people probably on Twitter and so on were so unhappy. I don't have Twitter. It's probably because I'm an old guy, and maybe I'm taking an old guy perspective, but people that are not happy with the game are probably more times than not just angry young people, angry young men that haven't seen the 50s and the 70s, the 80s.
Sure.
And so on.
Well, I appreciate you potentially lumping me in with the young people. I was going to tell you, surprisingly, they're not that young. They appear to be around my age. A lot of times when I kind of look, whether they have a profile picture on Twitter or sometimes it's on Facebook, you go and kind of just look at them or whatever, just out of curiosity, who is this person? And they might be a little younger than me, but not by much. They generally look to be early to late 30s, my age. And I mean, it's a broad spectrum. I know Mr. Negative, the guy that I coined as Mr. Negative a long time ago, who was negative about everything on Facebook. He always talked about how he was older than me, although I don't think he was very much older than me, but he's probably mid 40s or something like that. But, yeah, I don't know that they're as young as I would wish that they were, like they're 17 and they're just being stupid. These are grown men with, families and everything else. But yeah, no, they probably are not 50, 60 years old.
So by and large, as they get a little bit more experience in life, they'll realize that it isn't just quite as important as what they think it is. And a win is a win is a win. And a shutout win, a 34-point win, is truly something special, and enjoy it.
Right.
The other comment, I was watching the football game and I saw the wave going on, and I had to tell you, I'm annoyed with it, for the fact that it was there, but I was kind of happy because all I've heard for the last 2 or 3 years is it's the gold package, the gold package people, the Milwaukee people, ticket holders. They don't understand like the green package people do, and no, it's people. And, of course, I'm coming from the gold package perspective. I've shouted it down, trying to, tell people not to do the wave while I'm there. So, hey, this is the other guys that did it this time. Merry Christmas to all. Go Pack, go. 2 more wins, and then continue on.
The gold package, green package, I still don't even know exactly what the heck all that is. I would look it up. I should look it up because it's interesting. It's that juicy man drama stuff again. We should get some wars going on here. I don't know. So I know we have at least one. I was going to say, I think we have a couple, but maybe I'm just thinking of you multiple times, Wayne. We got to get different people in here just battling it out because I don't really understand fully the perspective. I understand the accusations against the gold package. But I don't know. As far as, the biggest accusation is you guys are selling all your tickets to Bears fans and whatnot and Vikings fans and all this crap, which is pretty unforgivable, I will say. But the wave, I could understand with some people, you're a young family, you're not on social media, you're just taking your kids out for a good time. You see the wave going, you're like, oh, yeah, and you want to show your kids, like, okay, here's what you do. You stand up. You don't really know. You're not super plugged in, like you're not on social media where everyone's screaming. It's one of those things where kind of like driving in the left lane slow. Every time you go on social media, everybody agrees and they're like, yeah, I hate those people. Who are those people? Nobody knows who they are. Well, they're not. They're either they're on social media just lurking, like that's me, or and just not saying anything, or they're just oblivious. They live in their own worlds and they don't see these things on social media and they don't realize that you're not supposed to do that. They live in their own little bubbles. I don't know. And I can see that as far as the wave is concerned, but when you have the entire stadium doing it, you would think it's a handful of people who are like, let's do the wave, and everyone's like, no, we don't do that. Instead, it's the vast majority of people are doing the wave, with a handful of people obviously not participating and saying, guys, don't. And only so much you can do, but it is surprising when you look at the ratio, because again, you go on social media, as far as I'm concerned, where I don't know where else to go to find a lot of Packer fans. You can go to a bar and find 5 or 6, I guess, but I don't know where else to find thousands of Packer fans just hanging out. And everybody understands. They know the rule. They all get it. You're not supposed to do that. So who's going to the games? Who's going? I don't even know who's there. No idea. But very odd situation. It really is. I wish somebody would call in and be like, either, yeah, I'm the guy selling the tickets, or I'm there doing the wave because I don't give a crap and I'm going to do whatever I want. I think somebody did say something along those lines, like, you have, I paid for the tickets, I can do whatever I want, kind of thing. I don't know. I don't understand it, but that's where we're at. Craig, what's up?
Hey, Ryan, it's Craig from Indiana,
How are
currently
you?
up in Wisconsin.
Hey.
Just wanted to wish you a Merry Christmas, and also to all the Packernet listeners. What a great year we're having. This is so fortunate for us as fans to have this Packer franchise. No matter what happens, this has been another just entertaining, exciting year, watching really, really good football overall. So feel blessed for that. And I just think of other fans from other teams who, halfway through the season, they're like, well, we're done, right? Season's over. And we just rarely have that. I mean, when we got knocked out of the playoffs a few years ago, it was on the last game against Detroit, right? We could have got in. So there was still hope the year we didn't get in. The one year where we thought it might be all over, it was the old, Rodgers run the table year, and we did, and then we got in. So I know we don't every year, but man, it seems like almost every year we at least have, some hope and excitement going on, and possibilities, and not to mention all the years that we thought we were legitimate Super Bowl contenders, even though some of those didn't come to fruition for various reasons. Just to be able to have that, joy and that hope that it might happen is really, really fortunate. So I don't take that for granted. And this is another year, and we again have a really good shot at the Super Bowl. Might not get it. There's lots of variables that go into it. There's really good teams left, but to say we're in the conversation is we're very lucky to be able to do that. So hopefully the fans can look at this more positively. I think most of us are. There are a few negative Nancy's out there, but I just say go Pack, go. Let's keep rolling. Thanks for everything you do, Ryan. Have a good New Year as well. Take care. Bye.
Yeah, we've got it. We've got it very, very good. I think there are some Bears fans that want to, or Vikings, Lions, whatever fans that want to troll the Packers and say, "Oh, you constantly get kicked out of the playoffs as though it's some kind of a negative. You only have 2 Super Bowls as though that's some kind of a negative." And some Packer fans like to latch onto that because they like to be negative, and so they'll take those narratives that are complete nonsense and run with it as though it's a good argument for some reason, which it's not. But no, we've got it great, and this year better than most. I mean, we've got it locked up several weeks before, and for the last probably 2 weeks, it was pretty much a guarantee. Before the Saints game, it was. I mean, there's no way we weren't getting into the playoffs, and even the week before that, as I had said, it's basically a done deal. So this has been locked up about 5 weeks out from the playoffs, which is very rare. So again, with all the, well, we're third in the division, and something doesn't feel right, and this team's not good, or whatever the complaint is, it's just untrue. Everything is untrue. This is one of the easier, better seasons in a long time, and it sucks that Minnesota and Detroit are as good as they are. It's unfortunate, because I mean, when you're at your peak, when you're at your best, and you really feel like you got a shot, man, it's not great to be like, yeah, but there's some other teams that are kind of scary. One might be better than us, and it's in our freaking division. and maybe even 2 that are better than us. I wouldn't necessarily agree, but arguably. So, but there's always going to be good teams, and at the end of the day, you can't expect to be so much better than everybody else that it's just going to be a cakewalk to and through the Super Bowl. So it's what it's all about. The other thing that occurred to me, and I would just wait on this as sort of a tomorrow on Packernet topic, but I know I'm going to forget. There's always been a missing ingredient, and I could never really identify it. I remember after 2020, that was one of those times where I was just kind of broken because I just said that I don't know what to do. The Packers were the best team coming into this season. This was, if there was ever a season we're going to win it, this was the season. And maybe I was wrong about that. We had a lot of things that weren't necessarily super good, but the offense was just so untouchable. Just felt like that was it, man. This is going to be it. And they just didn't show up. And I think that's the biggest question for me. I mean, number one is, are you good enough? That's a question for everybody. I mean, you could always get lucky, but it helps to be good at football. It helps to be one of the best teams. And the Packers clearly are. Whether you want to call them first, second, third, fourth, fifth, they're up there. If you want to say they're worse than that, then I think you're just being silly and are using metrics. Either you're not using metrics and you're just using your emotion, or you're using metrics that are silly, like record or something, which has no bearing on anything. But I think the real question is, okay, you're good, but what if you continually show up and you're not good? And we've seen this. We saw it even last year, where it was a really good team. I said last year, coming into the season, they might be the best team in football. Said it numerous times. Said it in maybe 2021, probably not. Definitely in 2020. Arguably in 2019, and who knows how many times before that. 16, 14, 12, numerous times. The question, though, is, can you consistently be the team that we expect you to be? Because if you can't, it doesn't matter. And if you look at last year, the writing was kind of on the wall when you go up against teams like the Giants and you can't pull it off. You go up against Carolina and completely fall apart. I mean, when you go up against the worst possible teams and your team just falls apart, this Packers team has consistently been the team we needed them to be pretty much every week, especially since the bye. But I would say even before that, when it's like, I don't know, something's not quite right, but they're still finding a way to win. They're overcoming. They're doing all these things. They're very consistent in whatever they are. And they've been that almost all year, and they definitely continue to be that. As I've said, okay, so you're that team. What do? Decimate the 49ers. All right, Miami. What do you do against a team like Miami? You decimate Miami. Great. Detroit. What do you do against a team like Detroit? You compete. It's exactly what they did. You don't blow out a team like Detroit. I mean, it'd be nice. It's not impossible, but that's not the expected standard. Obviously, winning would have been nice, no question about it, but that's, they showed up, they played hard, they didn't get blown out all of a sudden like they just didn't show up. They showed up. They were the team that we wanted them to be. Coulda, woulda, shoulda won. We don't need to rehash all that. Seattle, playoff team, really ripping through some people. What are you going to do? You got to separate yourself. That's exactly what they did. Saints, they're a terrible team. What do you do to terrible teams? You decimate terrible teams. That's exactly what they did. Now, with this Vikings game, I will say, I could put it in the Lions category, but I don't think I'm going to. When we played the Lions were a better team than us. Arguably, right? I don't know. Maybe they are still, maybe they're not, whatever. Doesn't matter. At the time, I went into it saying they are a marginally better team than us. Hopefully we can do something. I think right now the Packers are a better team on offense and defense and special teams. We're in their house. It's not a super good environment. Bottom line, I think you're a better team. If you're going to show up and do the thing that we need you to do, especially as we get a lot closer to the playoffs where there's no more excuses, you just got to win. That's what we need to see from the Packers. We just need to see the consistency. Can you be that consistent team? And the proof on Sunday will be, can you beat the Vikings? Beat the Vikings. If you can't, then it's a problem. Because all the data is saying you're better than the Vikings and you're not. And granted, you could be better than the Vikings and win 7 out of 10 times, and this is one of the 3 times, but that doesn't really matter because now is the time to buckle down. And it's hard to trust you, especially when all the naysayers are saying, yeah, but you can't beat all these better teams that have a better record than you, and you go on to lose again. Now we're really creating a pattern here. And there's going to be a lot of teams that are better than you. The Eagles you might have to face. The Lions you might have to face. The Vikings you might have to face. There's a lot of teams that you might have to go toe-to-toe with, not even mentioning if you happen to get to the Super Bowl. No question you're going up against one of those teams in the Super Bowl. So playing Minnesota in Minnesota is very much a playoff game. Let's go win a playoff game. Anyways, we'll take a break, and we'll come back and hear from Steve in Alaska.
Hey, Ryan. Hey, Pack fans. Merry Christmas to y'all. Not a big Christmas guy, but, we play along for everybody else's sake. Personally, I'm out doing the woodland thing. I got a cut firewood. It's a reasonably nice day. It's in the positive degrees, and the sky is clear, so I'm trying to get some firewood cut. So I don't have to cut anymore until the end of maybe February. Woo-hoo. But I'm just calling in, again, this last week, a great game. Let's not poo-poo it anymore, people. I'm listening to your podcast, Ryan. It's me talking about people and what they do on social media, and it is kind of ridiculous. Let's come on, man. It was a blowout win. Our defense was perfect because they scored no points. Our offense was as close to perfect as you can get. We scored over 30 points. Everybody's just got to back off and let this go. We should be happy with what we had. This is what you want from a football team. We're well-rounded. We have a solid pass game with a solid quarterback and solid wide receivers. We have one of the top running games in the league. This is something that I've been complaining about since I started calling into your show, is that I really feel we disavow the run because we all think the pass is so important. But if you can run the ball, and teams have to come up and play that run because nobody wants to get gassed for, 4 and 5 yards every single play. They have to come up and play the run. That opens the pass up more. A couple people grumbled about those deep passes that we missed in the game. I wasn't super happy with them, but I got them. I got why we did them. I didn't like 2 in a row. But I liked them because, hey, we're pulling them forward. Those guys were open. They were playing so much up on that run and so close to the line that those passes are open. They'll be there. Love just got to start hitting them. Something that you had mentioned talking with Nico, and you brought up before about that this Jordan Love looks more like a Bart Starr type team, or Bart Starr type of player than he does a Brett Favre player because of the passing situation and the running situation. I don't know why everybody seems to forget the Amon Green years. And everybody thinks that Brett Favre was such a passing quarterback. That was still a run-first team. We ran to set up the pass. Amon Green had an 1,800-yard season, a couple of 1,500-yard seasons. We've been a run-first team before, and not that far along ago. Yes, we didn't win championships, but you don't win them every year. Those were good teams. So let's just keep it up, and let's see how the rest of the end of the season goes. My time is up. You guys all take it easy. Go, Pat, go.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't want to give the impression that I'm disagreeing with anything you said. I'm on your side, man. I think I don't think there's too many left. I did see some negativity, and like I said, it's not bothering me as much this time, partially because I'm prepared. But yeah, I'm feeling good, man. It's kind of just sit back and enjoy the ride and see what the Packers have to show us. That's really where I'm at. I mean, there's a lot of learning here, I think, for all of us, because we've all have to acknowledge it's a very different team. I'm unaccustomed to this level of defensive play, and so there's a question of, can you maintain that? Obviously, Minnesota is going to be a tougher task. Offense, as far as running the ball, and, there's almost no teams that run the ball 50-50 as far as run-pass. Baltimore was kind of dabbling. I know they're one of those teams, but to have Green Bay become one of those teams is unusual. It's cool, but it's unusual. So it's kind of a learning about the team. And maybe with that comes we need to learn how to appreciate the team a little bit. I don't know. But again, if you couldn't find a way after this last game, then you're never going to. So I'm excited, man. Feeling good, feeling spry, feeling chipper. Kyle from Madison, what's up?
Ryan, Kyle from Madison. Merry Christmas, man. It's
Thank
Christmas
you.
today.
Merry Christmas.
I'm sure you'll get this a couple days later, so I'll just say Merry Christmas
That's all right.
and a Happy New Year to you and your family,
Thank
and
you.
to all of the listeners and their families. I wish you all a happy and healthy holiday, and a wonderful and prosperous 2025 to you all. And Ryan, I wanted to thank you for what you do and for the content you make. It's hard to imagine, my week going by without listening to you. So I know it's a chore sometimes for you. Sometimes it's a labor of love, but I know sometimes it's probably a pain. But at least for me, and probably on behalf of a lot of people, I just want to thank you. I know you don't like hearing all the compliments. I know you get a little uncomfortable, but hey, man, really, kudos to you. It's just far and away the best thing, as far as podcasts or content. There's a lot of great people out there. I'm not throwing shade on them, but for my money, you have the best product out there. And you have some of the coolest callers and just people I truly enjoy listening to and really super blessed to be part of. So just want to thank you. And, here's to many more and continued success in building.
Well, I appreciate it. I do. I appreciate that. I think the biggest way to show appreciation, and again, I appreciate the words, show up. Just be here every day. I don't mean necessarily calling in, although that does help as well. Just keep tuning in, keep listening, keep supporting the show. That's about it. If you want to join up on Patreon, patreon.com/pack_daddy, you can do that. That'd be appreciated as well. But appreciate the words, Kyle. Really do.
Ryan, Kyle again. So a couple things here. I'm wondering, if I remember right, now you can correct me if I'm wrong, or maybe you don't feel like doing the work, but I thought when Malik Willis was coming out, the scouting report on him obviously was his mobility. But I thought that he had like one of the best deep balls in college football that year. Because I think, and that's okay. I always thought like Malik Willis had a better deep ball than Jordan Love. I just don't think he's as good of a quarterback. You know what I mean? But I always thought that was kind of his thing, was running and deep ball. And I've always thought he had a really nice deep ball, even on Tennessee. And it's carried over to the Packers. So, for fans that are like, oh man, then Willis comes in. Yeah, because I think that's kind of his thing. Like, he does have a really nice deep ball. I think he has an even nicer deep ball than Jordan Love. But I think Jordan Love also has a pretty decent deep ball. Like, he has an NFL deep ball. So I'm hoping we can get that rolling. Because it was going like the first couple weeks. There wasn't a lot going, but that was going. And I think hopefully we can see that return. We're going to be on the road in a lot of domes most likely. So, conditions-wise, if they can get that rolling, they hit on a couple. That was a beautiful ball to read. I actually really thought that one ball they missed, I don't remember who it was to read. It was a really nice little teardrop, just about a meter too far. I don't remember what point in the game there. So anyway, I don't know. I thought that was always the scouting report on the league. Can you tell me though, Ryan, when obviously during season trades, obviously there's a trade deadline, but when can you trade someone again in the off season? Because there's a window where the season actually ends, but you still have the player's rights until the next league year starts, right? You can trade a player leading up to that, if I remember correctly, but correct me if I'm wrong. The reason I bring that up is, as far as the plan for Malik, I'm with you. I hope like we're in a situation where we're doing well, but we can still start Malik the last week. I'd love for him to go out there and showcase his talent even more, but I also really like to have him on the roster all year next year. And then trade him at the end of next season. You know what I mean? Because I think that's what's right for him. But maybe I'm stupid. Maybe that's not how it goes. But anyway, that's just wondering what that's, if that is how it could work. Because that would be ideal. Because then you get him for, it's real. Obviously, we're seeing the importance of a good backup. My God. So if that's possible, that would be the ideal situation. It's just have him for his rookie contract and deal him when he's worth his most at the end of next year. But, let me know.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a wait and see thing. We've got a little bit of time. I don't think we're going to plan on moving him super soon. I would imagine we want to keep him next year, although it is Brian Gutekunst, and we don't have 11 picks this year. So if the offer is right, like if he goes out against Chicago and tears everybody up, I would be not in favor of letting go of a good quarterback. I like to wait and see how things play out. And I'm assuming the Packers are the same way, but like everything else, I'm sure there's a price. So we'll have to see. I mean, the Packers have certainly wheeled and dealed some guys. Hasselbeck and what the heck was his name? Really good backup for us for years. Shredded. Who was it? The Saints? I don't remember. Who the heck? What is his name? Flynn. Although I don't think we traded Flynn. In fact, I don't think we traded Matt Hasselbeck either. But we did trade Aaron Rodgers, and that's kind of a big one. Brett Hundley too, I think. Maybe we did trade Hasselbeck. It doesn't matter. Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. I'm stunned at how good of a quarterback he is. And like I said, I would like some clarification on just how good he is. Because if he is a high-level quarterback, and again, I don't want to get into the controversy. I know people are going to get pissy if you start talking about, let's leave Jordan Love completely out of the conversation. He got paid, he's our quarterback. That doesn't change the question. If Malik Willis has become a very good quarterback, and remember, I didn't like Malik. He fell to, I think, the third round, whatever. But a lot of people were massively hyped about Malik, first-round pick, et cetera, early first for some people. I want to hang on to this guy and find out just exactly how good he is. We'll figure out what to do from there. But yeah, hopefully, if nothing else, we get some really solid compensation from trading Malik. And as far as when you can trade, and maybe I'm not fully understanding, but I know that, I don't know exactly when, sometime in March or something is when the trade window opens. I think it's the first day of the season officially is when you can start trading again. It's, what is it, like on a Tuesday or something usually? And we end up knowing like several days in advance. So there's like a official trade date, and then there's the unofficial trade window where you're allowed to start speaking to clients or agents or whatever. And as soon as that happens, it's like, boom, this person's been traded, whatever. But yeah, it's, I don't know, March, April, something like that. Maybe it's February, end of probably not. I don't know. I could look it up, but I'm not going to.
Okay, Ryan, question for you. Christmas-related question. What is your favorite Christmas song?
A Holy Night.
For me, see now, if we're just going pop song, like I mean, Last Christmas is kind of a perfect pop song. I kind of don't get sick of it. But if we're going just what's my favorite Christmas song, it's going to be Christmas in Hollis by Run DMC. That's freaking masterpiece. Great sampling, great
Hollis.
rapping. It's just an awesome Christmas song. So Christmas in Hollis, Run DMC. So just interested in what yours is. And hold on a second. I've got glitter all over me. I swear to God, glitter is a blight.
It's horrible.
On humanity. It's horrible. Eyes. I set my phone on our gift table. My wife's got these like cheap glitter balls, and like our whole house is red and green glitter now. I look like a freaking North Pole stripper nonstop. Anyway, I wanted to share a Christmas memory with you that's Packer related. So 30 years ago yesterday, Christmas Eve, my family and I traveled to Tampa for a vacation to visit our grandma. And my mother is always kind of a fanatic about she'll book like the hotel when we were kids. She booked the hotel like a year in advance. So she booked the hotel in Tampa, and we went down there, and it turns out that was the weekend where the Packers were in town playing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the old Sombrero. And it just so happened that the media and the Packers had completely booked up the hotel except for like 3 rooms, and we were one of them. So it was us and the Packers in this hotel in Tampa. So like literally, we're the only family there. So we're in the elevator with like Ray Nitschke and Max McGee.
That's crazy.
I remember Sterling Sharp and Brett Favre getting out of this Lamborghini. The doors go, and they come in, and I was trying to talk to Brett, and I just couldn't. I was like, he just tapped my head. He goes, "It's all right, kid." He just walked by me. It was such a cool memory. And then, like, how you get free breakfast? It was like a Hilton or double.
Yeah, for sure.
So we got to have breakfast, and all of the Packers are eating breakfast with us in the morning in this room. So we got to go to the game, and it was incredible. It was I believe it was 34-19. We beat the hell out of them. Unfortunately, it was Sterling Sharp's last game as a Packer. He hurt his neck, and that was the end of his career, but it was an amazing memory 30 years ago yesterday, and I just want to share that with you guys because I know Packers and holidays and memories. I don't know about you, but they're all kind of linked together. So I just wanted to share that with you.
Well, it is a very, very cool memory. The only thing close to that I have would be, and I've mentioned it several times, so I won't rehash the stories and whatnot, but a good family friend of ours, of my grandparents, had some kind of a role. I don't know. I think it was some kind of a media thing, television, whatever. But he had some kind of a role in the Lombardi golf tournament. I don't know if that's even still going on, charity golf event. And so he got my grandpa and his buddy, a couple of his buddies, I guess, gigs as like security, or not even necessarily. They would wear T-shirts and sit at one of the holes and drink beer and eat peanuts, whatever that job is. And so I ended up getting a job also, quote unquote job. It's obviously you don't get paid, but they gave me a little T-shirt and a little pin or something. I don't know. And I got to sit with my grandpa and hang out with the two of them and just have a good time as celebrities along with Packer players would come filtering through the hole we were at, and I'd get some signatures. And I didn't like, even as a kid, getting signatures. I thought it was kind of odd. But I knew it was something you were supposed to do, and it's kind of a very rare opportunity to kind of like stamp and say that you were there and remember it or whatever. So it was, I hated asking people to do stuff like that, but I was like, well, whatever. I guess it's what you're supposed to do. I'll just go ahead and do it. But yeah, it was very, very, very cool to be able to do that. Where are we at here? We'll take our final break. And then we got Kyle, Beer Cheese Benny, and we'll see where we go from there. We'll take a break. We'll be right back.
And last call here, Ryan. I just was able to get away. I don't know how you get time to record these. I barely have time to listen to them with all this stuff going on. But looking forward to this game, I think we should level set a little bit, you know. It is possible, of course, that the Vikings beat us. And I know... I don't want to get to the point where we have all our eggs in this basket. You know what I mean?
Understand.
It's possible they beat us. It doesn't mean we're bums if they do. I think a lot of it's just going to be how the game goes. I think
sometimes the better team loses. That is true.
What I'm most looking forward to, though, is we get to play a real football team now and see how the chips fall.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I certainly Seattle's a real football team, but we get to see, like, is it a mirage or are we that good?
Right, exactly.
And I think about it like if you've ever had a friend or family member have like heart surgery or, you know, some kind of medical thing, when it's time to see how they're doing, they do a stress test, you know, where they put them on the treadmill, they hook them up all the stuff, and then they kind of make them run and see how their heart does, you know, they stress them and make sure that it operates correctly. And I feel like this, okay, here's the stress test. Or, you know, I guess the cliche is the measuring stick. Our last measuring stick game was against Detroit. We played really well. We certainly could have won. We were a little bit sleepwalking in the first half, and it cost us, right? But we were right there, okay? It was a 50-50 thing. I think if we don't win, it's going to kind of depend on how we played as far as how we feel. But I don't know that we need to be thinking, like, only a win is the only thing that'll make us happy. Yeah, it'll suck if we lose, but I do think, unfortunately, I mean, I'd like to win, but there is like other alternatives that would be totally less satisfying, but passable, I guess, you know. But I'm just wondering what you think as far as the array of outcomes. You know, there's win and there's loss, but within that, you know, what do you want to see even in a loss? You know what I mean? If that were to happen. Or maybe we don't talk about losses this week. I don't know. It's up to you. But I just wanted to level set a little bit. Because people are like jumping off bridges after a 34-0 game. So I'm just worried that everybody's going to be like on death's door. We don't win this week, you know. So I'm just curious what you think. You know, what does that look like Sunday? Outside of a win, is there any other acceptable outcome?
I think that does become a fear, which is really stupid. I think some Packer fans, myself included to some degree, live in fear of other Packer fans who you know are just on the prowl waiting for any opportunity to push their narrative that the Packers are bad. And if the Packers lose to the Vikings, even if they play good, then, you know, it's going to be bad. And so Then sometimes we push back with other lame excuses that probably aren't true, but we're just in this whatever. Look, I do think ultimately, for me anyways, the standard is win. Because in my mind, we're kind of getting into playoff territory. You want